Okay, I'm going to show you how to do some basic stuff in Excel. I'm doing this on a Mac, so let me know if there are any discrepancies in the keys or the drop-down windows for a PC. I'm just going to click on New Excel Workbook. It's going to show up like this. You're on the Home tab. And you're going to have a whole bunch of tabs. Some of these we aren't going to use, so we'll start on the Home tab. And we'll look at how we would make graphs for problem behavior. So your first column going down here is always going to have your date, and then we're going to move across with entering our data for each topography of behavior. And our date here, this will be our aggression column, SIB, disruptions. And then you would start entering data. 12315. We'll put in a few dates here. And we'll just put in arbitrary data here, 269082434. All right. So, and this is, in this example, this would be frequency for the day. So 2 aggressions on 12.3. In order to make a graph, you're going to start with that first cell that you want to include in your data. So we're going to start from here. We're going to click and hold, and we're actually going to drag down to, let's say, I want to go ahead and source out for the first 20 entries. Once that's highlighted, you're going to go into your Charts tab, and we're looking at line graphs. Under here you have a lot of options. I always use marked line. That shows me each data point within a trend. So go ahead and click on that. And here's what our initial graph will look like. It usually defaults to this formatting. The first thing that I do is I get rid of all these lines. So if you just click on any individual line, you should be able to select them all and just hit delete. This is our legend for right now, so I'll leave it there. And the first thing I want to do is go ahead and label what this chart is. So if you go to chart layout, it'll give you these options here. Now, if you've just made a chart and you don't have the graph selected, see there's not this blue line around it, you don't have the chart layout tab up here. It's not until you click on this that chart layout comes out in purple. So you click on chart layout, and you're going to go ahead and we're going to put in a chart title. We're going to call this aggression. And then we want to label our X and Y axes. So we go into axes titles. Horizontal, usually I always have date. You can go ahead and put it in there. Sometimes I don't put it in because it's obviously displayed with dates. And then we'll go back in here for our vertical. And this is frequency of aggression. So now our graph is labeled so that we understand what we're measuring. The next thing that I want to do is you'll see that it defaults to this horizontal axis is just a number line. And I want these numbers to actually be dates. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click on our line series once. That selects the entire line series. If we click on an individual point, we can click on this. It'll give us just this point to work with. So if you do a slow double click, you can access just that data point. But I want to look at the whole. So make sure that multiple data points are selected when you click on it. And then on a Mac, you're going to Control Command and click to get to select data. And this is what you're going to see. So you can have the name for your data, which again, if you name each data series, it'll show up here. And this is what's showing up in your legend. So for our name, to put any name in, this is aggression, you would put equals and then whatever your name is in quotations. That series is now labeled aggression when you move off of it. It changes here. It also changes on your graph. This is telling you where to source your Y values. So this is saying we are sourcing from sheet 1, which is down here. And we went from B2 to B20, which is B2 to B20. You can see when you just click in this box, it automatically highlights over here what's being sourced, the data that it's sourcing. Your category X axis is what you want on the X axis, so this is where we want to put our dates. So we want to source the same amount, so 2 to 20, we want it to have the same length, but we want it to be sourcing from column A. So there's two ways you can do this. You can click on this right here, which then allows you to manually go in and highlight what you want. Highlighting this to 20. And then I hit enter. That will source the x-axis in terms of dates for you. The other way that you can do this, which I always think is a little bit easier and always ensures that you're sourcing the same length of data, is if you just copy and paste this down here, and then we change the column that we want to source from B to A. I'm just going to go in here and change this to A. And there's a pretty simple graph. I think also the default for these graphs is that it'll show the graph up until your last data point. But if you want it to show, giving you some more room ahead, another way that you can show that is if you double click on your date axis down here, it formats your axis. And you can see here under scale that your minimum is 12.3 and your maximum is 12.9. So it's only going to source up to December 9th. So let's say I just want to change this to the end of the year. You can see on the graph now that it's actually leaving me all this space. And then I don't have to source for a while. Another thing I like to do when you have dates here, as you get more points and you again begin to extend your graph because you've had a client for a longer period of time, these dates start getting pushed in together and jumbled. Right now each tick mark is between 7 days. You can also change these so that they're displaying vertically like this. So double click on your formatting your axis, you're going to go into text box and you're looking at your text direction. We're going to rotate that 90 degrees. So now you can see your dates like this and you can stack them a lot more easily.